Hello. Okay, are we ready to go? All right, thank you everyone for joining us. Today's session is APNIC Foundation, fostering technical community action on climate and inclusion. We're very pleased that you could all join us, whether you're joining us here in Manila or you're joining us online. Thank you for coming along. We've got a great session for you today. So we're going to have a few different parts of the meeting. If we can move to the next slide, thanks. Okay, yeah. All right, so we're going to start out today with a bit of an overview of the APNIC Foundation programs and projects that are going on in 2023. And our CEO, Duncan McIntosh, will be presenting that for you. We're going to follow up with some updates from our SF Asia grant program, seeing some of the work that our recipients are doing in these areas. Following that, we'll have a presentation from one of our grant recipients. That's the .Asia Foundation, whose CEO will present on their Eco Internet Index. And we'll wrap up with an update on our gender and diversity project from one of our national coordinators on that. So first up, I'd like to welcome our CEO of the foundation, Duncan McIntosh.
Thanks very much, Dave. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here. First off, on the first day of Apricot, thank you all very much for coming. As Dave already said, my name's Duncan. I'm the CEO of the APNIC Foundation, and I'm really delighted to be here and proud to welcome particularly the Switch gender and diversity participants, but everybody else who's here to learn about the foundation's activities. For those of you who know, this is actually only our second session at an APNIC conference. We kicked off out this session in Singapore last year, but it's our debut. It's our first session at Apricot. So thank you to any Apricot people in the room. And we're really pleased. This is going to be a regular event to really let the community know what the foundation is doing and to share some of the things that we've been investing in. As Dave, excuse me. As Dave said, today's session is fostering technical community action on climate and inclusion. So let me sort of get going on the brief introduction that I'm going to be doing and see if I can get the slides to move. There we go. For those of you who don't know us, here's the foundation's vision and mission statement. You'll see that we're really closely aligned, I think quite logically, with APNIC's own vision statement for a global, open, stable and secure internet. Importantly, the mission, the first three words of our mission statement are particularly key: to increase investment. What we're going to talk about today is what we do with that investment. But please don't think of the foundation as just a funding organization. We're not. Our primary goal is to raise money, is to increase investment. We're really pleased to share with you what we do with that investment, as you'll hear today. But we really have a mission and an important goal to increase investment in the work of the technical community and important priorities such as climate and gender and diversity as well. The map is an illustration of the projects and activities that we've got going and we're investing in, and grant activities around the region. For an organization that really only got going in 2017, we've grown quite rapidly, as you can see from that map and illustrations. Some of the things that we invest in with the funds that we receive from our donors, who are named and listed around the corners of this slide, technical training, increasing diversity and inclusion, which obviously we're talking about today, network operations research, internet infrastructure research and deployment, research and education networks. These are R&E networks for university connectivity particularly, which we're very strongly supporting as well. So these are the sort of focuses of our fundraising efforts, and where we invest is a really high priority. Again, very closely aligned with the development priorities of APNIC, the Internet Registry. How the foundation works. here's a little schematic to show. On the left-hand side, you've got the activities that we support. As I mentioned in the last slide, technical training, community development, grants and awards, a bit more detail there. In the middle of the slide, it's the communities that we seek to strengthen. So network engineers is our highest priority. It's the technical people who provide the connectivity that we all depend on and use and want to extend even further. Linked very closely to that, of course, are cybersecurity professionals, an increasingly important area of support and investment for us. And then there's the internet governance specialists. A good example of that are government officials who seek to develop policies and regulations around the internet. We want to make sure that they really understand the technical infrastructure that they're developing policies for. So internet governance is a particularly important thing. And then, of course, we have why do we do this and what we want to achieve. And that's linked to our original vision statement for a global, open, affordable, accessible, and stable and secure internet. All really key words about what we're focused on. I've gone too far. How do I go back? There we go. Since we've grown in the last few years, under the guidance of our board, we've developed a strategic plan. You can see our 3 strategic pillars there on the left of the screen around meaningful impact. That's really guiding in terms of how we invest and what are our priorities. You can see the 3 thematic areas, if you like: infrastructure, inclusion, and knowledge, that are the main focus for meaningful impact. The second area, transformational engagement and partnerships, captures our work to engage the wider community to invest in the work that we do. It's not just about raising money and increasing investment. It's also engaging with the wider development community. So for those of you who know this community, this includes organizations such as the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, large foundations, the private sector, and saying to them, please, when you think about investing in the internet, think about the technical infrastructure. Don't develop projects. Thanks, Sylvia. Don't develop projects that are isolated or detached from the technical infrastructure. And that's equally as important under that strategic pillar around engagement, that we guide the wider development community who are investing literally hundreds of millions of dollars in internet development in the Asia Pacific, sometimes without really engaging with our community. So engagement's really key part of the second strategic pillar. And then the third pillar is high performance, which is really around the operations of the foundation and ensuring that we're an efficient, lean, well-governed, doing our work properly foundation. Very important for us. The individual objectives are listed there as well. Excuse me. Thank you. I won't go through them in detail, but this plan is in place for the next 3 years and provides information for anyone interested in really understanding what we're focused on and how we're going to work. It's available on our website. I would encourage anyone who wants to know any more about the foundation in more detail to look at the website, but also be aware of obviously our social media, our LinkedIn and other activities. We post as much as we can online for all of you to see. So thank you very much. That brings to an end my sort of introduction. I'm going to hand over to Sylvia now for her comments as well. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you. So what's the same? Hi, well, my name is Silvia Cadena. I'm the head of programs and partnerships of the foundation, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we are been doing in a more practical terms, how those the strategy of the foundation kind of comes to life. But where do I need to point? Persevere. Let's change. Yeah. So the foundation activities are structured around 3 main programs: infrastructure, inclusion, and knowledge. Each of the programs has a number of focus areas that are quite broad in scope. to allow organizations that are interested in developing activities and interventions in their community around those topics to find a way to align with the objectives of the foundation. So in the infrastructure program, we support efforts to increase internet speed, reduce maintenance and operational cost, reliability, security, and mostly from a technical and operational perspective. The photos that you see there are about East Asia grants that are on the ground deploying infrastructure. The one at the top is in the center of Australia, connecting remote communities in Pigeonhole in the Northern Territory. The one in the middle is here in the Philippines. Is an old project where Nia used to work, connecting communities with the BBTS solution. And the last one at the bottom is Jaldi in India. That is one of our very first projects supported that it is now a very large operator in India. It started being a very small ISP. On the inclusion program, we do work on mainly availability, affordability, accessibility, and diversity efforts. Those diversity efforts, I would like to emphasize that they reflect more on the type of network engineers, the groups of technical people that are working in that space. The foundation programs do not engage directly with end users. We try to focus more, as Duncan mentioned, in that little candy design that he presented, on network engineers, security professionals, and internet governance specialists. So that's our target group. If they work with end users, then it's their bit, but we tend to focus more on the middle, the intermediaries that are making it possible. On the knowledge program, we have professional development, development of new information and training resources, and translation of knowledge resources in Asia-Pacific languages. Some of that also include incorporation of accessibility, understanding around accessibility guidelines for design and development of infrastructure. There are some projects and programs, projects that sit on more than one of the programs, but we try to align them with at least one or focus on that one to capture information around what they do. And on again, on the slide, there are three projects that have been supported by the ESIF grants, and I can give you the details of those later. So in terms of what funding mechanisms we have available to the community, with that, we have the grants from the ESIF Asia program, which is the longest standing fund initiative in the Asia Pacific, focusing on internet operations and networks research. It's the Information Society Innovation Fund for Asia. It's on its 15th anniversary this year, and the call for proposals will open on the last day of the conference on the 2nd of March. And you are all invited to have a look and see if your projects and initiatives are eligible. And if they are, please go through the process of submitting your applications in the next 60 days. Foundation grants are, I'm sorry, the photo there is SATSOL in Solomon Islands. Is a network deployment that we are supporting, expanding connectivity in remote areas in the Solomon Islands. Foundation grants are by invitation, so mainly focused on support for IXPs in the region, events that are happening, and a few other activities. Like, for example, in the photo, we see one of the seminal meetings that started with the Solomon Islands CERT, the Computer Emergency Response Team for CERT, for Solomon Islands. And they received a grant early this year, and they are starting a 24 months, 2 years project implementation to establish the Computer Emergency Response Team for the Solomon Islands. Sorry, the slide disappeared. I'm not sure. Okay, and the last mechanism is the trust discretionary funds, is a mechanism that is initiated by our main donor, the Asia Pacific Internet Development Trust. It's also by invitation, and on the screen is the support that we provide for Shadow Server, which is a global service that looks at cybersecurity information that is relevant for all network operations in the region. So again, this is a summary of what ESIF Asia does. So a snapshot of the funding that we have been able to provide over the last 15 years, $7.4 million, 152 projects supported in different mechanisms throughout 31 of the 56 economies that the APNIC and the foundation centers their efforts on. This is a list of the projects that we have funded in the Philippines in those 15 years. The ones that have links in green are their final reports available for your review. And the ones in progress are the ones that have received grants in 2021 or 2022 that are either focusing on connectivity, like the SEVISNet Foundation project in Cebu, or the Davao Medical School Foundation project in Davao. And the one at the top, the ICEA project, is more on sustainability and entrepreneurship for community networks. So it's more around the business models for communities to be able to provide connectivity for their community. So as you can see, is a variety of projects that sit in the different programs and are targeting different efforts, different needs of the community to make things happen. The types of funding that we have range from around $30,000 all the way to $250,000, different stages of development for different kinds of initiatives. Sorry, the slide keeps disappearing from the screen, so I get lost in my train of thought. See if I don't see the slide, sorry. Yeah, lost the idea. Sorry. Hello. Where was I? What was the last slide? I don't know when that happened. Anyway. Sorry, no joy. Okay, so the East Asia projects that were or are in progress in the Philippines, and then those projects are looking at different elements, different needs from the community that we are targeted through the either inclusion infrastructure or knowledge programs. We also have the projects that the foundation implements by itself and projects that APNIC implements. So I think the next slide was a slide on the initiatives that APNIC is handling, which are APNIC training, APNIC Academy training, training delivery, the APNIC Academy, the technical assistance program, and then research, like the one that Jeff Houston is leading with the measurements for internet prefixes, and also the research that Adli Wahid is leading on cybersecurity for the HoneyNet networks. Then we have initiatives that the foundation leads by itself, and then those are two projects that are the Switch project that focuses on gender and diversity in Southeast Asia. And Mia is going to talk about those projects in a minute. And then we also have the project for Afghanistan, which is also focused on network engineers and providing capacity development for network engineers in Afghanistan. Okay, thank you. So going back to where I was before the slides disappeared, one of the things that we would like to raise the attention of the community is on the possibility to apply for IPv6 deployment grants. These two on the screen are examples of the projects that received funding from last year. You see the size of the grants, it's all the way up to 250,000. 2 universities and 2 network operators received support. So we have the National Institute of Technology in Karnataka is receiving support for migration to IPv6 for the whole campus network. It's 45,000 devices that are being processed in the next 18 months. And there are other smaller projects on research. And then the other are two private sector organizations, Tonga Cable Corporation and Boom, Tonga in Tonga. And Boom is in Micronesia and is doing IPv6 deployment in a small community network environment. Then the other new grants that we incorporated this year are the Ian Peter grants for internet environment in the environment. Many of you may remember Ian. Ian was one of the visionaries of the internet in Australia. Sadly, Ian passed away at the end of 2021. And before he died, we had the opportunity to talk about his legacy and what sort of things he would like to leave behind, and we want to remember his work. So we structured a grants program around ESIF that allows organizations that have a internet and the environment focus to have additional funding for their ideas. So it's again focused on inclusion infrastructure knowledge, and the list of projects supported is next to it. And then we have here one of the grant recipients of those funding, which is the Eco Index, Internet Index from .Asia Foundation, and Edmond is going to talk about it in a minute. And this is the Islet Connect project, which Dave and I had the opportunity to visit just before traveling here to Manila. It's a small project that is connecting islands, 3 islands in Cebu. They just finished an initial support that we provided after the cyclones have devastated those 3 islands, and they received a small $15,000 grant. And then after they applied for an ESIF grant and received $85,000, and they just started in January and are moving around with their implementation. And that's it for me. And sorry for the technical issues. And now I pass it on to Edmond.
Right. Thank you, Sylvia, and hello, everyone. Good morning, and it's Edmund Chung from .Asia. Oh, perfect. So as Sylvia was mentioning, we have been working on a eco internet index, and it's about looking at the eco-friendliness of the internet in different jurisdictions. But before that, just a little bit of a introduction. .Asia, of course, is a top-level domain. So instead of .something.com, it's domain.asia is what we do. But an important thing is that we operate ourselves as a not-for-profit organization. So all the domain registration income goes back into community projects like this one, and also Net Mission, one of our flagship youth engagement program, and many other projects that we support. So next time you think about starting something for Asia, think about using, putting it on a .Asia domain. So specifically on this particular project, we are very happy to have the support from APNIC Foundation, but .Asia also have support from HBS. They are a green think tank from Germany, but also operating here in Asia Pacific. And this, okay, and this is a project actually that is an extension of the Little Tiger project that we started in 2016. Ajitora is the little tiger that you see here, and he has been, of course, supporting tiger conservation, but also more broadly the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, that were actually put into operation in 2016, and that's when we started the Ajitora project, and as an extension of that is the Eco Internet Index, built on some of the work that we have been doing. So what is it about? And I guess what, how do we start about going about it? there was a lot of discussion, actually, especially going into the pandemic, about the increasing carbon footprint of the internet. You know, how many trees are you killing by watching a Netflix movie, or those type of narrative is increasing. The question that we want to bring is, of course, is that a correct narrative, and how do we really think about the issue? The internet is growing for sure. Are we supposed to write shorter emails just because it's for the sake of the environment? So what is the right narrative? The other thing that is interesting is when you try to compare different countries or different jurisdictions, you look at who emits the most carbon, right? I mean, and of course, China, the US, but doesn't mean that everyone else, we don't have to do anything. I mean, if they don't do something, then anything that we do is useless. Is that the right narrative also? And how do we, really compare? Is something that needs to be thought through, because when you talk about the internet, of course, it's growing in terms of carbon footprint. But what is it replacing? What is it, changing? And how do we go about this? That's the kind of genesis of the project. And with the support from HBS and APNIC Foundation, we have pulled together a group of advisors to get started, and they span from the internet experts to environment experts, into different areas, especially coming from the Dynamic Coalition on Environment under the IGF, the Internet Governance Forum. And this group of advisors helped us really think through what's the right narrative, and also how to really think about measuring, or I shouldn't say measuring, it's more like developing an indicator that would say how well or how eco-friendly different jurisdictions are. So one of the first things, of course, is that yes, the internet is growing in terms of its carbon footprint, of course. The internet itself is growing, but what does it replace, right? One of the things you can't just measure, you can't just say, oh, the internet has grown this much carbon, but what does it replace? And if it replaces even more heavy, carbon heavy issues, then it's actually creating a benefit, right? I mean, so the measure itself, or the indicator itself, needs to take that into consideration. And on this issue also, is that does that mean that we shouldn't have this conference here and just go back to Zoom? That's also not the case. I mean, I think face-to-face meetings are very important. So it's about a balance. The narrative must not be overly on one particular side. And how does the indicator then kind of take on this nuance, right? So these are some of the things that needs to be thought through. The other thing that became very important is, of course, the energy, the power that powers the internet, right? If you can, and it makes a huge difference whether it's a fossil fuel powered or whether it's a renewable energy powered internet. Makes a huge difference. So when I guess when countries or think through how they power the power grid that actually is powering the internet, and the server farms and the network, is actually a very important part of thinking about the carbon footprint of the internet as well. But about the internet itself and about the network itself, there is also a component that we can think about in terms of the eco-friendliness, and that's really the capacity and the utilization of that capacity. Because obviously, if the easiest thing to think about is, if there are peak hours, of course you create the capacity for peak hours, right? Just like energy itself. But when there is a low usage, then the power that's powering the entire infrastructure is actually a big part of the power consumption. Some extra, few gigabytes going through might not be, the incremental is not necessarily as much as the capacity that you actually built into the network. So these are some of the items that we are incorporating into the index that we have been developing. And one last aspect that we looked at is the development of the digital economy, right? Because that's also supporting people, that's also replacing more carbon heavy components or more carbon heavy economy and services and so on. So with all of this, one of the things that we have produced as a summary of some of all what I just said in a much better way from our team is a little video. So if you can play the first video that just that summarizes some of the narrative that I've just explained.
Global carbon emission has dropped by 5.8% in 2020 due to COVID lockdown and economic slowdown. But it is expected to bounce back in part due to skyrocketing internet usage. So how does the internet emit carbon? What is the carbon footprint of the internet? Any kind of online activity such as watching videos, playing games, sending emails involves the transfer of data. The internet takes approximately 0.015 kilowatt hour of power to transfer 1 gigabyte of data. And that does not include the electricity powering the device you are using. However, this carbon footprint is still way less than driving to the cinema to watch a movie or sending a letter for the post office to deliver it. Nevertheless, with booming internet usage, we still need to be more carbon conscious about internet usage. One way to improve the eco-friendliness of the internet is to choose to have more renewable energy for the power grid that is powering the internet. To learn more, go to ecointernet.asia. Do more, waste less.
That tries to summarize much better than what I said, and to let people know. So going into the index a little
Electrify
bit
your
now
metabolism
in the second,
back to teenage levels
part
by
of my
eating 1/2
presentation.
teaspoon of this with ice water
As I
and burning
mentioned,
fat like
the
you're
peak
still in
and
high
throws
school.
of internet traffic
Every
does
adult
have
human
an effect.
always has around
The main
30
thing,
billion
of course,
fat
is that
cells.
we developed
It's not the
the
number of
network
cells
for
that
the
increases,
peaks,
but their size.
if we have less peaks, or if we can balance it out a little bit better, then we can actually, as we summarize, do more and waste less. That's one of the things that we looked at. The other thing that we looked at is something that we explained a little bit as well. How do we compare different jurisdictions, the total number in terms of population?
But then in
and also
2021,
we
researchers uncovered a way to actually dissolve them. They discovered a bizarre fat-dissolving Nepalese ice method that turbocharges metabolism and melts fat by fixing the recently found root cause of arm,
a different
butt,
jurisdiction.
and hip
So
fat.
you not look
It's more
only
powerful
at the
than
population, but
exercise,
also the
even when
internet
sleeping.
population. And
It's more
so these are
potent at
some of the
burning
things
butt,
that we
arm,
incorporate
and neck
into the
fat
index.
than any fad
So
diet.
what we have
Multiple
developed,
TV and radio shows
through
featured
the
it
guidance
recently,
of
calling
the
it a booty
advisory
fat buster.
group, and
What's more incredible is that this 5-second alpine ice method had been hidden for centuries by a small number of families in the remote Himalayan mountains. Try it for yourself by clicking the blue Watch Now button. If you're like me, you eat healthy all day, spinach, chicken,
of consideration,
and broccoli.
one of which
You
is
try
the
all the
economy
diets,
axis,
keto,
and it
paleo,
looks
and
at
vegan.
the internet usage
You're
patterns
hungry, you're tired.
of users
But every
in the
morning,
jurisdiction.
your weight
It
never
also look
changes.
at how the
Until you
digital
try this
economy,
ancient ice water method that
actually
has
is
nothing to do
developing
with dieting
and
or
look,
exercise and is
and
revitalizing
then
confidence
the
across
energy
the world.
section, energy
Michael
axis,
Huxley,
which we look
age
into the grid
56,
emission, back to
dissolved
the how
59
the power grid
pounds with
is
this Nepalese
doing,
ice
and
method.
also the renewable
At age
sources.
62
And then the
from
third
Omaha,
part is the
Janet
efficiency,
dissolved
as I mentioned, the
39
network
pounds of
efficiency efficiency and how the capacity and the speed of the internet.
And once I saw the fat melt away for me too, I had to share it with you.
Study that we did in 2022. Actually, this is the report was published in 2022. We are working on an updated report, but right now I'm giving you the information from last year's report. And that is the pilot study. The pilot study was focused only on 6 jurisdictions, and we chose the jurisdictions because of their size and their advancement. So you have larger countries like China and India. You have smaller cities like Hong Kong and Singapore, and then you have a bit more advanced economies like Japan and Australia. That's how we chose it. But on the economy axis, this is how we calculate. We look at the carbon footprint, of course, of the internet, but we measure it against the total carbon emissions. So the percentage of internet carbon footprint versus divided by the carbon footprint of the entire economy. So how much is the internet actually doing? But we also set it against how much the basically the digital economy is a percentage of the entire economy. So you can see that this is the concept is that you compare it against the total carbon footprint, and you also compare it against the total economy. This is the idea, and to create a more balanced thinking of how the internet, how is the internet actually replacing more carbon-heavy economy and activities? So the next axis is actually the energy axis, and that one for that one we are looking very focused on the energy, the emission factor. And also the amount of renewable energy that is in that particular jurisdiction. So you can see that, actually you can see that Hong Kong is not doing very well. China seems to be doing very well. But basically you look at, this is the axis that we look at in terms of the power grid that actually provides energy to the internet. And then the third axis is much more on, I guess, here related to network activities. And we take the data. Oh, by the way, for some of the data that we take, we don't do measures for or primary data. We try to use as much as possible stable data that is being provided, like in the case previously, data from World Bank, data from the UN databases that countries and economies send data to every year. So the index is created not necessarily to try to measure exact things, but based on those number, or based on the we use secondary data that is provided and pulled out from more stable databases to give you an indicator of how things are. And this is the way to group together the data. And for the bandwidth and efficiency, we actually take IX data, the internet exchange data, as well as ITU data and so on. And we look at the capacity versus the actually experience, the speed, and also overall the traffic volume in terms of the variance. How much is varied. Of course, if it varies a lot more, then obviously it's probably less efficient than if it varies a bit less. So all in all together, basically for the pilot study, so we ultimately developed a kind of score, a normalized score against the different economies. Yes, ultimately we're creating a kind of ranking, but we think that the ranking is probably fun to read, and is a useful tool to say, hey, go back to your government and say, we got to do better, or go back to your industry to say we got to do better. But at least for the first few years, we are planning to try to do this every year and produce Again, this is a pilot study, and this year we're actually compiling data for a target of 15 jurisdictions around Asia Pacific. But the more important thing is to, again, get into the conversation, and you know, having a little bit of comparison allows us to also go to the you know, our governments and both the Energy Ministry and also to the ICT Ministry to raise their attention and awareness about, you know, some of the things that can be done to you know, to make the internet infrastructure more eco-friendly. So overall, the narrative, again, the idea of why we're developing the index is to create a better narrative to think about what do we mean by carbon consciousness about the internet. Of course, emphasis on the power grid that supports the internet, but also how the digital economy gives an advantage overall for the carbon footprint of the jurisdiction overall, and also the efficiency of the network. Again, we produced a short video that probably says it much better than I just did in presentation. So if we can play the second video.
Think of data traffic on the internet like the subway train system. Each byte of data like a passenger, and the internet bandwidth like the size of the train. If everyone takes the subway at the same time, we'll need bigger trains and increase the total number of trains that can be on the tracks at the same time. That is called the peak hour or peak usage. But if the same number of people travel at different times throughout the day, we only need smaller trains and also less number of trains at the same time and still get everyone to their destination. That way, we have a more efficient system which saves energy. Same for the internet. If we better utilize the capacity of the network by moving it or spreading some activities across non-peak hours of internet traffic, for example, data backups, video downloads, mass emailing, etc., you may think that changing only your habit may not have a big impact, but imagine if all the internet companies and your favorite apps and games become more carbon conscious. Together, we can make a big difference. The internet has a carbon footprint too. Together, we can do more with the internet and waste less by promoting more efficient use of network infrastructure capacity. Don't forget to use more renewable energy sources too.
To learn more, go to ecointernet.asia. Do more, waste less.
Right. So that's you know, a summary of kind of what we have been trying to say. And as mentioned, the Eco Internet Index, we started actually the preparation started in 2019. In 2020, we started working on the framework, and in 2021 we collected the data and created the pilot study, which came out in 2022. And this year, we are expanding it to from 2022 to 2023. We're expanding the pilot study to 15 jurisdictions, and hopefully in the next month or so, we'll have the data for this year to report, and it will at least be fun to see what the rankings are. Again, I don't think the rankings are the most important. It's actually the narrative and what the components of the index that is most important. So as mentioned, we are looking to expand it. And we're also refining the methodology a little bit. One of the things that we did find out is that sometimes the situation in Hong Kong, for example, it really scored badly in the pilot study, but we actually had the in the IGF when we presented, I was happy to be able to invite the environment minister from Hong Kong, and he actually said, yeah, we're actually not doing that well and we're trying to improve. But we also found out that one of the things that we measure is the kind of traffic and capacity, but the Hong Kong infrastructure is huge because it does a lot of transit traffic, not necessarily the users in Hong Kong that is using that traffic. There's a lot of transit traffic that comes from China and all across Asia. So in the new study, we're going to have to make some adjustments because we were comparing the local users, how it contributes to the data. So we're going to moderate that a little bit and to make sure that pure transit data is not included in the index, to avoid situations like Hong Kong when we did the first pilot study. So that's some of the things that we are doing. And finally, another component is we're hoping that once we have the report out, we will be connecting with the different stakeholders, the governments, the appropriate ministries from around the Asia Pacific region, and talking to them about this topic and broadening the awareness, and also pushing through the narrative that it's, again, it's not just about the carbon footprint of the internet, it's what it's actually, can do, like, and so the kind of motto is how we can do more and waste less on the internet. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for the presentation, Edmund. That was some really interesting stuff. Hey. So up next, I'm pleased to introduce Mia Perez. Now, Mia is the National Coordinator for the Philippines as part of the APNIC Foundation's Switch Gender and Diversity Project. So yeah, let's get her up here. Everyone make her feel welcome.
Thanks, Dave. So this is, as mentioned, I'm Mia, the coordinator for the Philippines. And I think this is the very first session for the conference. So as a Filipina, allow me to greet everyone. Welcome to the Philippines and mabuhay. Thank you for joining our session for today. So my goal actually is to give an update about the Switch Gender and Diversity Project. But before I do that, I am just one person here standing in front of you. But actually, I would like to acknowledge the presence of all the hardworking, of course, coordinators from other economies, and all the participants also that are joining here. May I request for everyone to stand up for the Switch project, and actually this is a warm-up exercise before we do the lunch. So they are our from the Switch project. They are the coordinators and our project participants. So can you give them a hand for joining our session for today? So thank you, everyone. You may sit down. I know I put you on the spot. And also a quick shout out to all our online televiewers. I know you're there. If you can give a comment like, "Hi, I'm from Switch," you can comment it on Zoom. So hey everyone. So I'm going to start. So for the Switch project, Switch is actually, if it's your first time hearing about Switch, actually the first time I'll give a quick introduction. Switch is actually Switch C, supporting women IT research leaders in Southeast Asia, but now it's shorter, it's just Switch. And the goal of the project is to support women and gender diverse technical staff working in the internet industry. So how do we do that? We support them through trainings, mentorship, research support, but the key idea or element there is what they need based on individual needs. So that's, I think, it's a unique proposition of the project. And also just an update, we already have 2 batches for the Switch project, and the one that I am going to give an update for today is for batch 2. So yeah, so first for batch 2, we have a total of 161 participants. We are very proud to have all of those participants from different economies, from different companies, 145 women and 16 gender diverse professionals receiving professional development support. And we cover around 6 economies. So Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, Timor-Leste, the Philippines, and Vietnam. And For our training providers, so as mentioned, we are providing training support. So we have a total of 166 training providers that we are engaging. I know you might think it might be a big number. APNIC Academy is one of those providers. Also, aside from, I know this is a technical conference, you know, the popular ones, the Cisco, Juniper, CompTIA, all of those training providers are there. Also, we are supporting them in their personal development. So if they need leadership, management, negotiation strategies, internet governance, as mentioned by Duncan a while ago, and also if participants would like or prefers local providers that speak the local language, if they feel more comfortable engaging with those providers, we are also supporting that. So just to give you a brief why it's a big number. And a total of 1,480 enrollments for those 161 participants. And this is our second time giving an update of Switch. Before, it's around 200 plus certificates. And now it's 416 courses completed and certifications achieved. And we are working on completing, we're working on completing the rest of the certifications for this year. So I will discuss the 2 bullet points later. So how do you use this? There. So for Switch diversity in the internet industry, as you can see there are certifications, certifications from CompTIA, Cisco, ISC2, and just take note, it's technical and also for soft skill. And one of the lessons learned that I would also like to share in this audience is that with our familiarity with the providers and with the familiarity of what the providers are offering, we are also supporting our participants to assess and brainstorm if those courses are what they like. And then recently, what we are trying is grouping them according to their, for example, certification, group CCNA, group CompTIA participants. It's a way for us to support the, it's a way for them actually to give tips and tricks. How do we prepare? What do we expect? And I know it's just it's starting in our local Viber group, but actually we would like to, connect and migrate to Orbit soon. We are going to do that for our experiences, tips and tricks to be shared also with everyone. And we are also supporting them through mentorship. As you can see here, before what we tried, so our project as an update is evolving. Before we tried the group mentorship, so there are around 25 in a group, but now we are doing a pod group, and in that pod there are around 5 to 6 participants identifying, they are the ones identifying their needs or a topic that they would like to develop. And the unique thing about it is they are being helped by not just the mentor, but also with their pod mates. I don't know what they call pod mates. And another unique thing about it is your pod mate actually are within the same industry. So the richness of collaboration and knowledge sharing is also there in the mentorship session. And also we have gender diverse pods. And now, as we develop in the project, I'm also giving the update to our participants that we are exploring one-on-one sessions, if that will be your go-to or your selected mentorship opportunity or support. And then we, aside from taking in knowledge, like for the certifications, trainings, and mentorship, your personality development, we are actually asking also our participants with the generosity of their hearts to share with us if they have networking and visibility activities. As you can see there, if participants are sharing their knowledge, applying their knowledge, doing networking, because the appreciation is, it's one thing that you are taking in knowledge, but it's totally a different thing for you to go out there and apply those knowledge. So with the generosity of their hearts to share with us what they are doing and where are they going. And as you can see in the picture, just to also I'm very proud to announce that we have supported around 27 participants to attend the workshop. Some are attending the hackathon and also the conference for today. We are very proud that I know that some of you are reciting in the workshops. Hopefully we can do some, I know that you are networking with your classmates, and just a side note that it's also a proud moment for me that for those workshop, when it was posted, the pictures of the workshop, you can see that, oh, you can spot the switch people in the room because mostly the room is filled with male energy, and now we can insert a little bit of women gender diverse energy in the workshop. So there. And then another exciting thing that we did last year are the Switch national events. Before it was just meeting over lunch, start of networking, warming up. But now last year we did 6 face-to-face national events. Can I ask for everyone to give me a clap for that one? Thank you so much. Because it's logistically, we had a lot of COVID restrictions before. You know that we had, you know, you're even wearing masks now. So we had a lot of COVID restrictions. We are only seeing our participants online. We don't even know if they're tall, they're, oh, it's you, or if we see each other in the mall. So it's amazing to see them in person. And what this gives the participant top priority is networking event. Just to cite, for example, in the Philippines, they are in one internet industry, but they are in different companies, and also they are in different provinces. So Foundation also supported the fund to make us co-locate. If you know, Philippines is composed of 7,107 islands. So it's hard for us to be really together face to face. So it's really an exciting moment for us to exchange contacts. Where are you? What are you working on? How can we collaborate? And how can we extend this? And also, aside from the networking, if there are events, I've been to events because you can do face-to-face now. If you see Switchmate during some events that you attend, I know it's a very big crowd that you have, but spotting one Switch C in the room, and like now, spotting all of you felt like home, felt like, okay, I have someone, ally of some sort or a friend in a room, in this room. So yeah, so aside from the networking, we also inserted what do you call that? Talks. We invited speakers for leadership, management. Some even tried storytelling, women, and ICT as additional activity during the national event. So it's attended by around 137 participants. Take note that we are offering, or the invitation is open to all 203 participants from batch 1 and batch 2. It's open to all. So we are, just an announcement also to everyone that we are planning the next national event for 2024. So watch out for that. Okay, and another proud moment for us is to be supporting around 14 research papers from all over the economies that I mentioned. 2 are already published and 12 research are still ongoing. The ones that are here are from Cambodia and from Vietnam. And this is my last slide. We are also, since face-to-face is a thing now, we are also participating in technical community events. As you know, we are supporting individuals. We are in the project, but we know that there are more established organizations in our economies. For example, in the Philippines, there's KHNOG. So if we can, encourage our participants to join the NOGs. This is more of a sustainability thing also. We know that they are more established and they have the capacity to support our participants. So getting them to join NOGs and join events. Of course, we tag along sometimes if we can. So as you can see here, we have the VN, Vietnam Internet Day, the KHNOG. Some even tried to join a Thailand Cyber Top Talent 2022 for women. And also we presented Switch project in a collaboration in Soy Asia, and also presented Switch in DUST ASTI to share lessons learned about our project and how to invite also others, raise awareness about the project. So there, that ends my slide. Thank you so much for listening.
Hey, thank you, Mia. We're going to have a Q&A session in just a minute. Before we do that, I want to take the opportunity to talk to you a little bit more about the grants that we have opening up. So the ISIF Asia grant program, it's opening on March the 2nd. So it's coming up very soon. It's going to be open for about 60 days, and we'll be taking applications across a variety of projects. Can I ask that we go back to the IPv6 slide? It's a yellow one. I think it's slide number 17, if you can pull that one up. There's not that many audiences that I get the chance to talk to about IPv6 when they might actually be interested in, hearing what I've got to say about it. So I'm going to seize this opportunity now while we're at a technical conference to mention that we do offer IPv6 grants to organizations that are considering deploying IPv6. Those grants are some of our larger grants. They're quite important that we want to really emphasize that. Oh, yeah. Can we go to the slide with the yellow arrows on it with IPv6 on it? Just gives a little bit more. That's the one. So these grants are available to people who are seriously considering deploying IPv6. They've made some initial plans, but perhaps they're not quite sure about the next steps to take. We can work with them on those and talk it through. They're designed to maximize community benefit, and we look at various stages of development of those plans. They're open to network operators who are in the Asia Pacific region across all different industries and all different kinds of stakeholder groups. So IPv6 deployments, they can come from a lot of different types of organizations. It's not just ISPs, it can sometimes be universities, it can be different organizations as well. We've worked with universities on our previous round of grants too. We encourage collaboration, and the grants are up for about 12 to 18 months. For our other grant areas, we've got them across infrastructure, inclusion, and knowledge. And I might just play a little bit of a short video. It's only a couple of minutes. If we can play the ISIF Asia video too, just to give some information on those grants.
In 2016, the United Nations declared internet access a human right. But today, more than a quarter of the Asia Pacific is still disconnected, leaving many of the most vulnerable people without access to this essential resource. The Information Society Innovation Fund, ISIF Asia, supports communities in the Asia Pacific region to research, design, and implement internet-based solutions to achieve sustainable development goals. ISIF Asia achieves its goals through grants and awards to projects that contribute to internet development from a technical and operational perspective in 3 key areas: infrastructure, inclusion, knowledge. The infrastructure program aims to increase internet speed, reduce maintenance and operational costs, improve reliability and/or security. ISIF Asia infrastructure projects have ranged from innovative satellite connection research through to smart villages and the establishment of networks to serve remote communities. The Inclusion Program pursues the goal of meaningful and equitable access to the internet for all. It focuses on availability, bringing the internet to places with limited or no access; affordability, helping bring down the cost of internet access for disadvantaged areas; accessibility, boosting the adoption of standards and technologies to help people with disabilities online; diversity, increasing representation in the internet industry among women, LGBTQI+ people, and other underrepresented groups. The Knowledge Program supports training and research projects that develop technical capacity and/or research around internet network operations. ISIF Asia knowledge projects have ranged from cybersecurity research through to training in technical best practice. ISIF Asia is run by the APNIC Foundation, thanks to generous support from the Asia Pacific Network Information Centre and the Asia Pacific Internet Development Trust, as well as other generous donors. To get in touch, contact the Foundation at info@isif.asia.
Hey, so those grants are opening up. Those grants are opening up on the 2nd of March. So yeah, get in your applications. We'd love to see more applications coming this year through. All right, so I think it's time for our Q&A session. So if anyone's got any questions that they'd like to ask, we've got a microphone set up there for people in the room if they've got any questions for any of our presenters today, or people online can send through their questions now too.
Hello, I'm Pan from Thailand. I'm National Coordinator for the Switch project. Actually, I don't have any particular question for the project, but I would like to talk about and thank you about having this wonderful project. And it's a gender and inclusion project that very effective. As I have seen the intention of the foundation to organize the project effectively, professionally on that. And it really meet the participant individual goals and plans. And as the one who work between the foundation and the participant, I think both click together. And I have seen the opportunities in everywhere, in every from the participant. And we have seen the empower women and LGBTQI plus participant. And I think it's a very good project that really impact the capacity building and the gender diverse. And we have started seeing some of them return back to the community. Some of them are the community trainer that could help in the APNIC Academy to teach back to the society. So I think I have to thank you very much about the project. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Pan.
I have a question for Edmund on the use of the index. So my question is, if other economies have data that they would like to have the information of their own economy reflected in how the model for the index is built, what they can do to reach out to Doreisha, or when is that coming? I know you are working on the 15 jurisdictions expansion, but are you considering how to engage with other and expand it more?
Absolutely. So first of all, in terms of developing the index, we try to use stable data sets that are, as mentioned, that is from ITU, from World Bank, from UN databases, which countries upload to provide data every year. So again, the index doesn't, measure specifically how much the internet actually had carbon footprint. It gives you an indication of how the internet infrastructure is, whether it's more economically eco-friendly or less eco-friendly. Back to your question is, yes, absolutely. One of the data points that we have been working hard to try to get is from internet exchanges, because those data, many of them are quite open, but some of them are less open in terms of their data. So for those ones, it would be great if you know them, to connect with us, and tell them about the initiative. So when we actually try to reach out to them, but some don't respond to us as readily. But again, if you know them, please alert them that we will probably be trying to reach them to get the IX data from them to be part of the data that is collected on in the index. The other thing is, we are reaching out to once we have this report, we will be reaching out to different partners around the region to really expand the awareness of how to the narrative that we mentioned, how to think about the internet eco-friendliness and how policies can actually help support it. For example, government policies that supports more renewable energy that powers internet exchanges or power server farms and those kind of things. Right now, there's still a lot of data centers that have backup power that uses diesel, for example, right? I mean, if we change that to using, say, solar energy, that's a huge thing, and those are policies that I think ministries can actually try to create to incentivize those, and those are some of the downstream work and awareness work that we try to push for.
And I have one more question. With the Internet Governance Forum coming to Japan later in the year, climate change is going to be probably one of the issues that will be discussed and incorporated into there. How you mentioned that the conversations around environmental issues are more important than the actual ranking, right? How would you recommend people to start those conversations in their own countries to bring the issue about internet and the environment to the fore?
Yeah, so yes, the ranking is not supposed to be important, but the ranking is the conversation starter. That's why we create the ranking. So if you rank high, you can go to your government and say, look, you're doing very well, let's keep it up. If you rank low, well, then obviously you can go and say, hey, we got to do better than them, or so the ranking is a conversation starter, but the other components of the index give an idea of where policies might be able to make a difference in terms of making the internet infrastructure more eco-friendly. And the ultimate, I mean, the ideal and my dream would be that let's say the country is interested in, after looking at it, their overall score over 5 years would see the difference as the policy is put in place, right? I mean, that would be, of course, the ultimate ideal scenario. But I think, in terms of the conversation starter, of course, it's the ranking gives a good, kind of soundbite to the engagement. But it's the components and also, of course, the methodology, looking at different aspects that actually corporate practices and also ministry incentives can actually lean into to make a difference.
All right, thank you. Do we have any more questions? Yes, we've got one from the audience. We've got two. All right.
Yeah, my name is Nhung from Vietnam. It's Echo from PAN, the national coordinator for the Swiss project from Thailand. Yes, I am the national coordinator for the Swiss project in Vietnam. Echo from her to say that this is a really meaningful project. And on behalf of the benefited participants from the project in our own 6 economies in Southeast Asia, I would like to say thanks so much for APNIC Foundation to bring the wonderful project to the community. And also thanks so much for Serbia. We call the mama of the Swiss. And yeah, just one comment for Edmond, that if you need any collaboration from to develop the Eco Internet Index project from Vietnam, we are happy to join, because we are now the Swiss project. We are now support 29 participants from the whole internet ecosystem from Vietnam, the very big ISP and the mobile operator to the small ones and the government, and yes, I can say it's the whole internet ecosystem. So if you need any collaboration from us, please tell me. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Nhung. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be very interested in any internet exchanges that might be involved there. Yeah. Right. Yeah, we had another question as well.
My name is Bikram Shrestha. I'm from Nepal, and I'm representing Nepal Internet Foundation. So my questions is the Swiss project is very effective. So I think we have a different leaders represented from the Swiss project here, and it's focused on Southeast Asia. So my question, is there any plan to, expand to South Asia in like Nepal, India, Bhutan?
I don't know if you are familiar with that cartoon called Pinky and the Brain. Yes, we are plotting. We are plotting a way to take over the world, I would say, one country at a time. We would love to have diversity, gender and diversity initiatives in every one of the 56 economies that APNIC covers. We are slowly getting, learning how to deliver that service and understanding what the needs of the network engineers in every economy are, and figuring out strategies to support. So we are fundraising, as Duncan mentioned, trying to fundraise to be more effective and bring more funding to other parts of the region and slowly expand our coverage. For Nepal and Bhutan and that part of the region, we haven't started conversations, but we are looking at expanding in the Pacific initially. So we'll see slowly, but happy to discuss after if you have any ideas about how can we bring the project methodology to those economies. We will be very happy to discuss and figure it out together. Yeah.
Thank you. And then I'm happy to, contribute or facilitate from my side. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks. Great. Any other questions from the audience? Okay. Yep.
Thank you. My name is Abilio Bernardo Caldas. I'm from Timor-Leste. I can call as Timor. It's between Timor-Leste, Australia, and Indonesia, the continent. First of all, thank you for the APNIC Foundation. It's the first time for the Timor-Leste. The project suite is very impactful for the participants of Timor-Leste because of the small country. The news is very faster than everybody now about the APNIC Foundation and the Switch project. And of course, to endorse the gender diversity inclusions, we have the law, we have the protections for the gender equality and the environments, because it's a small country. We are learning faster with others' economies experience. We talk about the internet transparency, the ecosystems. Recently, the National Parliament, they just approved some of the law for the carbon technologies. As a new country, a small country, we just starting now to implement the data center for the governments and the states, and it's a good opportunity. Maybe you can bring more to Timor-Leste as a small country. Give some speaks and experience, because we start from the beginning as a new country and just only on 20 years of independence. So the infrastructures. So we're learning something that new from other economies. We implemented the things that can be a benefit for the Timor-Leste. Our submarine cable basically will come 2 years from Australia and from the Indonesia. We are small islands. I just want to, you talk about the big economies, but the implication, if we are not concentrating the small islands, Fiji, Commonwealth, Caribbean, Timor-Leste, we are feeling this. The lot of submarine cables are crossed in these Caribbean islands, Solomon Islands, Common Islands. We forget about the environments, the protection, the coral that are beautiful in the world, and that region, the Asia Pacific. I agree that we have to be efficiency and for the internet utilizations, but in the beside, as a small country, new country just started, we need to be invest on the infrastructures and the other big country are already impact for the climate change. That okay, now we have to change and move to the another solution, but it's forced the small country to be sometimes have to be in the same level for the advanced economies. I think it's great times. It's not to focus on the big economies, but please, with the small countries that will be impact more for the climate change and the carbons. Yeah, thank you. That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Abilia. Okay, it's almost time for us to wrap up, but we've got time if anyone else has a question. Yeah, if you'd like to take the camera, take the mic.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Catherine from the Philippines, and I work in the academe. I'm also a Switch Philippines participant. I would like to say thank you because this opportunity granted me the skills, or rather to reskill myself, particularly as a female and as a female of a certain age. So I work in biomedical engineering, and one thing I realized is that the networking skills, knowledge of the infrastructure of the internet is very, very useful, particularly during the fourth industrial revolution. So maybe we can have an effort to sort of liberalize this knowledge, not only for the technical branches of education like engineering and sciences, but also to put it into the liberal arts education and even down towards the basic education curriculum. So maybe that's something that we can work on. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, well, if that's all the questions we have today, we'd like to thank you for joining us, and please enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Edmund.